The Raddus' hyperspace ram of the Supremacy was a visually stunning but controversial moment in The Last Jedi. The main complaint most people have is that if this maneuver is so effective, why was it not seen before? I think that's a valid criticism, so I thought it would be interesting to examine the old Star Wars Legends expanded universe to see whether hyperspace ramming was ever a thing. First off, we have the Malevolence, the CIS's subjugator class heavy cruiser, and I know what some of you are thinking. The Malevolence just crashed into a moon at sublight speeds. The hyperspace was disabled, or the computer wasn't able to calculate a new route, and to be honest, that's what I thought too, until recently, especially because visually, it's really unclear and we don't hear the distinctive hyperspace sound. However, on Twitter, probably a few months ago, Pablo Hidalgo confirmed that the script called for the Malevolence to hyperspace jump into the planet, and that's what they intended to show on screen, which I suppose explains the large explosion. Unfortunately, Pablo regularly purges his Twitter, and I can't find the quote, so you'll have to take my word on it. But he stated it as a sort of way to debunk those who say the technique has no basis in canon. He also made reference to one of the Al Williamson classic Star Wars comic strips, which is one that I was aware of. Thankfully, I own classic Star Wars 15, which shows Admiral Griff, an Imperial, and Darth Vader attempting to capture a rebel fleet, which is fleeing the Yavin blockade. Griff, trying to get there before the Sith Lord and cut off the rebel escape route, makes a very dangerous hyperspace jump and ends up ramming 3 Star Destroyers into the Executor. Now, the Executor's shields tank the damage and the ship itself survives, though of course the Star Destroyers are obliterated. Nonetheless, there was clearly some basis for hyperspace ramming as early as 1983. We also have early on in the Star Wars EU something from Lando Calrissian and the Flame Winds of Oseon. What's referred to as a hyperspace engine is accelerated into an asteroid, destroying the planetoid and the surrounding fighters in a large explosion. However, to me, it's unclear how exactly the devastation is caused, whether the engine is accelerated and destroys the planetoid through kinetic energy, which I think would be similar to the Raddus, or whether the engine itself blows up. I'll read you guys the passage. Detaching themselves at the last second, they slung the giant throbbing power plant at Oseon 5792, and that's the name of the asteroid. One of them had a mechanical failure. His cable wouldn't release. He was pulled down with the engine into hell. The other 2 sheared off frantically. The resulting acceleration could be felt by her captain, even through her powerful inertial dampeners. His seat gun slewed around violently, slamming itself and its occupant hard into the stops as the gun swung wildly. The asteroid dwindled into a pinprick and blossomed into a glowing cloud, consuming one of the fighters who thought he'd gotten away, tumbling the other. Even the flame wind paled momentarily as the ravening fireball expanded, growing brighter and brighter. So, to me, it seems like perhaps rather than an actual ram, it was more the engine activating and somehow destroying the planet. Finally, we have the devastation of Pamant, which is mentioned in the Revenge of the Sith Incredible Cross sections. In that, we learn that a Praetor-class battlecruiser named the Questor experienced a hyperspace malfunction and crashed into the separatist world of Pamant, fracturing it to its core. This is actually somewhat ironic, or at least coincidental, as the Pamant shipyards actually produced the subjugator line of heavy cruisers, including the Malevolence, which we know also suffered a catastrophic accident of this type. Finally, we have a scenario from the Galaxy of Intrigue sourcebook, which I happily stumbled upon a couple of days ago. The scenario is about an extragalactic alien race, and it says the following. The mothership of the invasion fleet has been set on a hyperspace collision course with a major galactic metropolis. The heroes have mere hours to stop the ship from slamming into Coruscant. Even with the planetary shields up, the death toll would be incredibly high, just from fallout. So while that particular scenario is not canon, it does give insight into how the universe operates. And those are the examples of hyperspace collision that I'm aware of, at least. Besides for the Malevolence, which I wouldn't go so far as to call canon, the other examples of hyperspace kamikazes or hyperspace collisions are from fairly obscure works. And I'm also not saying they're the same as what happened in The Last Jedi, as the Raddus was accelerating into hyperspace as it collided with the Supremacy, but I think it's some interesting background. For those interested, hyperspace has been weaponized in other ways. Thrawn, of course, used the Thrawn pincer to make pinpoint hyperspace jumps, which surprised his enemies. We also have the Galaxy Gun, which delivered devastating missiles through hyperspace, though the actual collision happened in real space. And we have Centerpoint Station and other celestial creations, which used hyperspace tractor beams, which could grapple planets, as with the construction of the Krillin system, or destroy targets, as we see in the Battle of Fondor, though those examples are obviously much different than a hyperspace collision. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, turn those notifications on, and let me know down in the comments what you'd like to see next. Until next time guys, this has been EckhartsLadder. May the Force be with you.